or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't be afraid to take the baby steps. It's another day, don't forget, 'cause just a prayer away. Don't give up now, trust the process and keep learning. And if you need a friend, we're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, 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 together as a family in faith and melody.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. This is INCradio's Faith and Melody, where we have deep, rich, and life affirming conversations while listening to inspiring Iglesia ni Cristo original music. Now, in today's discussion, Peace on Purpose, you know that we live in a world full of noise, responsibilities, and relationship dynamics. Finding peace can feel rare, and keeping it can feel even harder. So, in today's episode, it's all about recognizing what impacts our peace and what we can do to protect it. I'll be one of your hosts for today's broadcast. This is Jay from Australia, and we're very excited for you to join us today. So, let's get the show started and listen to the first song on our playlist, which is titled Never Surrender.
This life, I have so much to bear, so much worries and cares. I won't give up, for I know I'm never alone. You're always there. Father, you are always by my side. I vow to hold on, to stay strong, never give up on my faith. I'll endure till the end. I will never surrender. I vow I will never surrender. So each day I will fight for my faith. Your words I will obey. I will serve you always. I will hold on to my faith. I will hold on to my faith. I will strive to always live a worthy life. I vow to hold on, to stay strong, never give up on my faith. I'll endure till the end. I will never surrender.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Belle from the United Kingdom, and you are listening to INCradio's Faith and Melody. If you're watching us live right now, it's currently 12:06 a.m. over there in the main studio in the Philippines. And later on in the show, we invite you to an honest conversation about what steals our peace and sharing ways that on how we can respond with wisdom and with faith. And that's today's topic, peace on purpose. But before we start off with our topic discussion, let's begin with our kickoff chat.
Can we get a bumper music for our kickoff chat?
Kickoff chat.
There we go, kickoff chat. So we've got it posted there in our live chat. And we are asking the question because we're curious, since we're talking about peace, remaining calm, not feeling overwhelmed, right? We're talking about our mobile phones a little bit here in our kickoff chat, which is we're asking the question, have you ever turned off your phone for a whole entire day? And if you did, how did it go? If you haven't, let us know why it's hard for you to turn off your phone for an entire day because that can be quite difficult for some. But you've got Jay and Belle here on the panel. So Belle, why don't you let us know? Is this something that you've done in the past? Have you ever switched off your phone for a whole entire day? Has that ever happened? Is that something that you've ever done?
I don't know if I don't think I've ever turned off my phone for a whole day on purpose unless I'm out of battery. But I haven't I don't think I've ever done it unless that was like when I was younger. But because you know how phones were introduced like um in the first decade of like 2010s, like I don't know, of the 2000s. So yeah, I don't really I think that's when the phone wasn't something that everyone would use. But nowadays I've never really turned off my phone for a whole day. And if I actually did, then I would have to use my laptop. So it it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
It
So
kind of
yeah,
is.
I
It's like
haven't I haven't done it. I'm sorry.
you're like we're just like so connected now with the devices that we have, right? But the thing is, because like you're a different generation in terms of how you grew up compared to me and compared to some of our listeners, right? We've got there in our live chat, we've got Mario Oka greeting us, saying good midnight there in the Philippines. So thank you for tuning in. And we know that it's quite late for those who are in the Philippines. It's just after midnight, right? What's the time? 12:08. Yeah, 12:09. Well, 9 minutes after midnight there in the Philippines. But I think Kuya Mario is a little bit in the same age group as you, Belle, perhaps, right? But we got Rod there as well, that's tuned in with us, saying hello. But we like for I'm assuming from for Rod and I, we grew up our teenage years, our growing up years, we didn't have mobile phones. Not at least we weren't connected as easily as we are today with our smartphones. And you can have video calls and that sort of thing. So growing up, I didn't really have a mobile phone. So that was fun. I remember those days where you actually, when you go out and you'd meet up with your friends, you'd actually be doing something together, and you'd be actually kind of like you're present, you're telling stories, you're sharing adventures, all that sort of stuff. But now I see like the kids and the young ones growing up, and everyone's got like a tablet, everyone's got a mobile phone. We've got we got like everyone's connected and everyone's looking down on their devices, like they're on their social medias and they're checking messages and all of that, which is nice that we're so connected. But with the people that we're at, it's kind of not as connected unless you put your phones down. But I have turned off my phone for a whole entire day, and it's kind of nerve wrack. I have a little bit of anxiety sometimes because you never know who's trying to contact you, right? It's like you don't know if there's an emergency. But yeah, that's something that I've tried. But you should try it one time. Apart from like on purpose, not just because your battery died, Bell. I actually, but it's hard because I know everyone tries to contact you, and especially us now with being officers in the church, right? In the Iglesia Ni Cristo, like we're always using a particular chatting program. Is that the right word? Messaging program to connect and to send messages and everything else like that. So it's like you almost always have to be connected, right? Which is means
Yes.
like you're always a little bit not present just because you're always sometimes thinking about that. But we'll see. Can you see who else is there in our live chat? But let's say hello to them and see if there's any insights that they're sharing here in our kickoff chat.
We also have here Melvi Tamayo saying hello everyone and happy watching from Central Valley, California. And also we have here Carolyn Chang, Arati Care, saying good morning Ohana. And Melvi Tamayo here said, no, I don't turn off my phone unless it's dead, like at the mill. But I've forgotten my phone before and didn't have access to it the whole day. I was fine with it, but everyone messaging wasn't because they know I respond promptly, especially when they need me. So what I do is send an email to notify them so they don't panic. So yeah, I feel like I don't know if I've ever forgotten my phone, but yeah, I understand your point of view and Jay's point of view as well because uh I feel like when you have to be really like when you respond promptly as well, like uh Melby just said, right, Jay? If you don't respond, then people are gonna say like, "Are you okay?" And then they're gonna message even
Yes,
more. So, so that doesn't really help.
they're worried.
But
It's like, what happened? Did you fall down? It's like I haven't been able to contact you for the last 3 hours.
yeah.
I
And
get that. I
here,
get.
also here, Caroline Shine said, I think nowadays with all the technology connections with others, that it's difficult for most of us to disconnect. We kind of need to be connected because of emergency or talk purposes, and that's true. But I also agree with the fact that there needs to be boundaries, like you mentioned, Jay, that sometimes we feel a bit more disconnected to who we are with around. And I think uh it's a common matter that happens like nowadays. It's been normalized, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's just a matter of, trying to be more present. But yes, here Carolyn Shine said, especially when friends and loved ones need us, or a shoulder to lean on can happen any minute. Yeah, and that's true. That's why if you don't have your phone on or it's on the not disturb mode,
Mm.
it's just harder to get a hold of certain people. So yeah, I understand why it's more difficult for us nowadays to be disconnected or having like a digital detox. Not only social media, but like an actual digital detox
An
from,
actual, like, actually get off all the digital stuff and all the
yeah.
radio frequencies that's coming to your phone and all that. But saying that though, I get the idea. Like, I get the notion that it's nice to know if there's an emergency to be contactable. And for me, I get the same kind of worry whenever Jem has to go run some errands down the road or anything like that. So we have an app that actually tracks where we are, so we know where each have you I don't know if you have something like that, Belle, but Jem and I, we have an app on our phone and it tells you your location and it tells you if you're driving and all of that. So no matter where we are, if we have to leave, like to go here or there, like we can see on the map where we are exactly, like live, like right there and there.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. So that's always a good thing to at least know where the other person is. We're trying to figure out how to do something so that we can put something on Lena so that we can find out where she is. Sometimes he's like, "Where did she go?" But one thing that I am actually contemplating of doing, Belle, is getting a phone that's not a smartphone. Getting so what would you call that? Just a regular phone, right? One that doesn't have all those internet features and all the apps. Like, it's basically just used for text messaging and for phone calls. So you can still be contactable through a phone call or through a text message, but you don't have access. You can't install. There's like it's basically just a tiny little screen and a keypad. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, did you grow up in a generation where there were just regular phones purely just to receive phone calls and text messages? Were you ever around, were you around during that time, Belle?
I think so. Yeah. But you know what you can do, Jay? You can just get a phone and then just don't use, like, like delete the apps that you don't need, or like,
Yeah.
you
I
know what
get
I mean? And then don't
it's so
use
tempting
Wi-Fi.
though. It's like you have this smart device that can do it's so easy, and it's not it's kind of like a bother to delete all your apps, right? But I can get that idea because that's always there. And no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you're connected to pretty much everything. You're connected to all this information, you're connected to all of this news, you're connected to all of these videos and social media, and from not just from friends and family, but even from strangers, depending on what social media platform you are, right? Some of those platforms are just randoms, like random people saying whatever they want, and it comes up on your feed, you know so depending on what social media platform. So a lot of those things can affect our peace. And that's really what we're going to kind of talk about. A lot of the things that affects our peace so that we can be peaceful, we be calm, we can take control of what we're letting in that affects our emotions and our emotional and mental well-being, all of those sort of stuff. But that's going to be in our topic later on. But I think we've nicely covered our kickoff chat, right? So let's go and read a few of the last comments that we have there in our live chat. Actually, yeah, let's do that, and then we can play our closing bumper for our kickoff chat. So Belle, why don't you read any final comments there in our live chat?
Melvi Tamayo also added here, I do turn off notifications so I'm not tempted to look at my phone when I'm doing something or at work, and avoid unnecessary distractions. And that's helpful because, for example, when if you're like eating out with someone, or you just have your phone there like on the table, if it keeps ringing or beeping, then of course it's just going to be a distraction. It feels like you're not really there because you're just responding to, like, the texts or the emails that you have
Yes,
coming.
I'm sure that's gonna
So
come up. That's gonna come up later in our topic.
yeah. But yeah, just a sneak peek. But yes, with that said, um that's our kickoff chat, and we will be playing for you another two songs, which are, the first one is Smile in the Face of Trials, and the second one is The Power of Prayer. And we hope that you enjoy.
Our icebreaker is titled Life Transform. Let us know if it's something that you're willing to take up as a
Kickoff chat.
Ain't no trial, ain't no test, ain't no hardship that I can't face. Ain't no flood, hurricane, fire, even people ain't gonna bring me down. All these trials and all these tests can't be avoided, but I know I'll reach success. So I give my trust, but I walk in my faith. In your promises of right and that He will say. I know I'll go through hardships, and I know God will test me. No, I'll go through fire and these tests and get heavy. God gives me strength, I'm never running on empty. So I will not be surprised if I face these tests, cause they won't minimize in my life's quest. Faith needs to be purified through all of these tests to be worthy of the prize of forever being blessed. God only gives tests in order to prove my worth. Then all these trials and tests will end with this earth. So if these trials come my way, Apostle Peter said be glad, cause on that glorious day I will no longer be sad. So the trials that I face, they are necessary. As I run my race, they are only momentary. I'm a servant of God, trials can't bring me down. I keep my trust in God to receive that eternal crown. All these these trials and all of these tests can't be avoided, but I know I'll reap success. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ. So I keep my trust, ground open my faith in the promises of God and that He will save. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ.
Who is the servant that will not be overcome by all of the trials that we face under the sun? The Bible clearly outlines how to reap success in the midst of these trials and all of these tests. The member of the church whose roots are planted deep, who obeys God's command and God's law is what he keeps. And in the midst of these trials, his service never ceases. Our Lord God, he continually worships and pleases. That member's faith is strong, his faith is truly firm. He follows God's law and every teaching that he learned. So that is exactly what I'll do. My services will never end. I'll serve God with zeal, I'll keep God's commandments. I will be devoted in my services in his name. In the Church of Christ is where I will always remain. Cause when my faith is firm, I can't be turned away. Cause those who are devoted will surely be saved.
All these trials and all of these tests can't be avoided, but I know I'll reap success. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ. So I keep my trust, ground on my faith in the promises of God and that He will save. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ.
It is written in the Holy Scriptures. His promise is portrayed like a vivid picture.
I hold on to his promise cause that is my conviction. And every time that I call, I know that he listens.
I know he's never far, he's only a prayer away. He's right there listening to me every night and day.
He gives me the answers to all of my problems. So no matter what will happen, I will always call him.
In times of test, I won't be abandoned by the Father, because that is his promise to his sons and daughters.
I need to be tested to purify my faith so that I will remain in the church and never ever turn away.
In times of trials, my faith will be made strong. For these tests and trials will only teach me to fight on.
So if I go through tests, I know I will not fail.
I hold on to God's promises, I will prevail.
All these trials and all of these tests can't be avoided, but I know I'll reap success. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ. So I keep my trust, ground on my faith in the promises of God and that He will save. I'll remain in God. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ, Church of Christ.
Lift your head and do not cry. Ignite the flame of your faith burning inside. Don't be discouraged by the trials under these skies. Seek help from God and He will save you from the darkness that surrounds you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, the power of prayer. No need to be scared if we truly believe in His power and His grace, in the blessings that He gives to us with love.
Pray to God with all your might. He'll be your fortress and your shield throughout the hard times in your life. He is always there. He'll dry those tears falling from your eyes. So just keep praying to the Lord our God.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Just keep praying. Church of Christ.
Peace on purpose. Earlier we had a bit of a sneak peek of our topic discussion for today during our kickoff chat. And, there's a lot of things that um, happen in our everyday lives, right? And, you know, uh, not every not every day is linear. Not every day is calm and peaceful, unfortunately. But today we with this topic we're aiming to share with you, and hopefully you'll be able to share with us, ways to get through those turmoils, and through those rough patches, and together. So hopefully, with this topic, we'll be able to, still feel at peace, uh, with that purpose in mind. But um, peace isn't always something that um, um, peace isn't something that how do you call it? Um, peace isn't something that sorry, peace isn't something that just happens, or isn't disrupted, isn't something that you know uh very light. I don't know how to explain it, but for me it's just a complicated thing to explain. And basically, um I'm so sorry, because I'm thinking right now how to say it in English, because I'm trying to say in Italian. But yes, sorry, Jay.
You
um
you can you can say it in Italian, and I will get a translation app to to translate it over to English if you like. But
So peace isn't something that just happens just because, and it isn't disrupted uh just by any,
immediately, right?
yeah, immediately. So it's something that you can create on your own, in a way where it's up to you how you want to view the situation. And uh yes, for me, peace is something that you know um can really change perspective on the situation, if that makes sense, because you can be in such a chaotic situation, but if your mind is at peace, if you look towards um the right, not the right, like, yeah, maybe the right way of looking at things, because at the end of the day, it's like a situation can be subjective, right, Jay? So if you're able to look at it in a way that is more positive, then you will feel at peace. So that's what I wanted to say, that peace isn't something that just happens. It's up to you and also on the circumstances that you're in. But most of the time it's how you view the situation. That's what how I
Mhm.
wanted to explain it. I'm sorry. But yes, uh, with that said, um, what are some everyday things that tend to, disrupt your peace or steal your peace?
I
Do
think firstly you were
like
trying to
this?
I think one of the things with peace, right, is that if you don't have it, if you're not calm, if you don't have peace, if you're not like grounded, it's very easy to feel flustered, and it affects how you try to communicate. So maybe you were having a bit of a flustered moment, right, Belle? Just there, she's showing an example. That's a live example of what could happen if you're not completely calm and at peace, and you're a bit nervous, and all of those things that can basically change your emotions, heighten senses, and things like that. But in the negative sense, that you're not able to think clearly, right? I think that's what Bell's trying to say, is that it doesn't happen immediately. Generally, it chips away at you throughout the day, right? And sometimes it can be something that is big and small, like depending on the situation, depending on how you see it. One of the things that was mentioned, I'll start this off, Bell, with what was mentioned in our kickoff chat. I think it was Melvi that shared it, which was about notifications, right? Basically disturbances, unexpected disturbances that happen when you're trying to get in the flow of your work. I don't know if you ever had that, Bell, or to anyone that's listening. But when like you've started, you don't when you're trying to focus on your work, you're not immediately there, right? It takes a while for your brain to kind of like piece everything together, and then you work yourself towards a flow, and then it's like, oh yeah, you've got it, and then you start working, and it's like it's making sense, and you're working towards it, and all of a sudden, stop, because somebody comes and distracts you, or your phone rings, or you get that alert, a vibration alert that you've got this notification. And even though you don't want to check it, just because your phone has made a noise, it's mentally calling out to you. It's mentally drawing you in. It's like, what is that? Is it something? Is it an emergency? Is it something that's important? Should I check it? Right? And then you flip your phone over, and it's just like an email, or maybe it's like, oh, some newsletter that you signed up to, so it wasn't very important. But then for you to get back into the flow state of what you were working on, it's not going to be like straight away, because you've broken it. You have to work your way back into it. It'll probably take another 5 minutes before you get back into the flow of the workload that you're working on. Does that make sense? Has that ever happened to you, Belle? Have you ever like got interrupted, and all of a sudden you just got into it? It's like it's like how Jem shares it with me. All of a sudden, I walk into the room, and she like gets a little bit annoyed because she just caught her sleep. I don't know if anyone has ever felt that, but it's like when you're trying to take a nap, right? And then you just got your nap, you just got to fall asleep. All of a sudden, somebody makes too much noise and walks into the room. In other words, me. And then she's like, "Oh, why did you do that?" No, it's like, and you can't go back to sleep straight away. It takes time. So it's the same thing with work and anything else. It's a distraction. Your notifications on your phone, somebody coming in. Somebody wants to speak to you. All of those little things can chip away at the calm and at the peace and at the flow state that you have. All of those can be affected by external things that are unexpected and not unplanned for you. So that's one thing. That's one thing that was shared in our kickoff chat. Belle, how about for you? You share one. Apart from what you were that live example that you did at the beginning, what else for you tends to affect your to steal your peace or affect it in a way?
Apart from feeling nervous and tired,
Yeah, well, sleep, right? Are you going to talk about sleep?
I feel like if you don't have enough energy within yourself, that's gonna affect your day. And how can you feel truly at peace if you don't feel, you know, if you don't feel like you can give it your all in the matters that you have to attend to, right? Because you're gonna feel really overwhelmed in a way where you're like, oh, am I gonna be able to do this? Am I gonna be able to submit this or that? So, that also comes into play when it comes to maintaining your peace. So, for me, other things that could affect my peace is conflict or misunderstandings. It could be like the smallest thing ever, or such a really simple matter that can still, disrupt your peace. So,
Mm.
because, you know, sometimes you just want to have a peaceful day, and then everyone slowly is trying to annoy you, or I don't know, there's something that it just come with you with something, no matter how big or small it is, it just hits you. And then at the end of the day, you're like, even though the last thing that affected you was really small, if someone else comes with another small thing that to annoy you, or I don't know, something, it's still gonna strike you in some way, because it has been building up the whole day. So that could be one of the reasons why my peace could be disrupted. But yeah, I feel like it could be the most simple thing at times. It doesn't have to be a big thing that could disrupt your peace, because um it does make the difference, that small thing. But yeah, that's some everyday things that usually happen to me sometimes, when it comes to trying to maintain my peace and having it disrupted in some ways. But it's normal, it's not gonna be like a perfect day. I mean, there are perfect days, of course, but uh with life happens. So it's not something where we're all happy all the time.
with no
So
distractions, and we've all, it's yeah, you're right, like there's always something. And the thing is, with us being calm and us feeling like, at peace with how everything is going, like that gets, like you said, like you were trying to say at the beginning, right? It doesn't just disappear instantaneously, right? It's generally something that kind of gets affected over the course of your day, right? Because of, people, like I like what kind of like what Melvi shared here in our chat. She says here, stress at work and traffic on the road steal my peace, especially for those drivers, right? Like, we just today for me as well, like just trying to get home, right? It's supposed to be like a 20-minute drive, but because of traffic, just because of drivers who aren't paying attention, right? I think Joanna Grace Lopez also said there, distracted drivers definitely steals her peace, right? Because you're trying to be safe, you're trying to be careful, you're trying to get home, safely and everything else. And just those things can really affect your peace. It's just like, you got to be careful, drivers, especially if you're driving a car or anything, right? You have the hands of other people, right? The lives of other people in your hands, because you are driving a very heavy machinery. Well, a car, like you're driving at high speeds and everything else like that. Like, you don't want to hurt anyone, right? And you are also trying to be, what's the word, when you're trying to be proactive to take care and to keep safe, like the self defensive driving, right?
yeah,
It's kind of one of those things. And it's kind of frustrating when other people aren't, driving carefully, and they're driving more recklessly. So you got to be careful with that, because we can't do anything about it, but it definitely affects us emotionally as well, right? So that's why you have to be careful when you're on the road. But Melvi also shared here, and this is what I wanted to get to. Sometimes co-workers at work who just want to chat when I'm in the middle of something important that needs to be done, right? Like, just getting the distraction. Somebody comes in, you're just started your flow into, yes, I'm working on this, and all of a sudden somebody distracts you. They chat for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's a long time, right? And then by the time you get back to your work, you're tired from the conversation. You have to get back into the flow state. You have to get back into it. It's like, oh, where was I? And then it's like another 10 minutes before you can get back into it. And then something else comes up, right? And you're like, have you ever had like a day when you've been working for 8 hours, but you got nothing done? just because of all the interruptions and all the distractions. Has that ever happened to you, Belle, where you've been working for like 8, 10, 12 hours, right? And after that, it's like, what did I accomplish? It's like, what you're just thinking.
I don't know if that ever happened to me at work, but maybe in school, like you know how you're trying to, you have your classmate that is trying to talk to you between lessons or like during
Yes.
lessons, and you're like, oh, I'm trying to take notes, and then, oh yeah, I've experienced something like that, maybe in school, but I don't know at work because, we don't really work like in desks, so it's a different type of environment, um where like my workplace, so I don't think that really happens, but in school I remember that there was always this one classmate that is sitting next to you, or like uh in front of you or behind you, that's always trying to like have a conversation. But yeah, sometimes it could have been me, or like, but most of the time it's just like, there's like someone that you're really friends with and you're trying to have a conversation together, but at the same time the teacher is like looking at you guys. And then yeah, I understand what Melvi shared there. So it can happen, but at the same time you don't want to be rude to the person because you're there for work, you're both there for work, but you still want to create a friendly environment at work, which is really important as well in the long run, right, Jay?
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think we mentioned a little bit earlier about like not getting enough rest or at least feeling sick and things like that. Like right now, I had a bad sleep last night and I pulled, I don't know, my back, my neck muscle or something. So it's hard for me to turn my head, and me trying to drive through traffic, right? Trying to drive through people who are distracted driving, trying to look over my shoulder, and my neck hurts and all of these things. And it was raining and it's also cold here, and all of these things, little by little, it affects your peace. It does. It really does. And it's a challenge to overcome that. Um, but we've also got Rod sharing
Oh,
unnecessary meetings at work steals my peace. Like meetings that could have just been a text message or an email, right? Right. I've had that before, where it's like we've just had a 1 hour meeting, and it's like, really, like this whole thing, the whole message in this meeting could have just been written in an email and we would have been done, right? Something in a message or something like that. So unnecessary meetings can steal your peace because you still got other work to do, but you have to attend this, and then yeah, a lot of those little things. But let's move on to the next part, right, Bel? Because we know that there's so many things that affects our peace. So how do you, I think we sort of answered this already. How, for you, Belle, and for our listeners as well, how do you usually notice that your peace is being affected by the things that are happening around you or to you, distractions, all of these little things, right? How do you notice that something is affecting your peace, right? Belle, why don't you start?
I usually get frustrated or I feel tense. I don't feel much calm during those
Mm-hmm.
times. You feel like you're trying to focus, but then there's this lingering feeling where you're like, oh, something's not right. So yeah, that's what I usually notice when I feel like my peace is being disrupted, or something is triggering my peace. So yeah, um it, it's something like that. I kind of get nervous sometimes as well, depending on the situation. But yes, those are the usual signs that usually notice during that time. But what about you, Jay? Do you get frustrated or do you get angry? I don't know. Everyone is
Frustrated
different.
is one. Jonah shared here. Where did she write it? Something about she said super loud coworkers talking on the phone without being mindful, right? That it's an open concept office. Have you ever had that where it's like it's an open floor? People are studying. I don't know if you've ever been to like a library,
Oh
Bell,
yes.
where you have to study and you're focused on studying because you've got like a big exam coming up, and then somebody's like talking loudly, or I don't know, eating food or something, and it's like it stops you from focusing, right? So kind of like those who are not what's the word? Those who are not mindful of the environment and kind of like how they're affecting other people. So I end up becoming frustrated, and kind of like the example that I said, disturbances, aches and pains, things like that, right? Things that are outside your control, but it's still affecting it's affecting your time, it's affecting your, things about that's happening, and your peace and calms gets chipped away over and over, just little by little, but then it does, right? And you end up feeling frustrated, and you're feeling kind of annoyed of the situation. And that's kind of like when it affects your peace. Because when we talk about peace, it's about being calm, right? Being happy, being content, and being grateful. And a lot of those things kind of like goes out the window where at a point when too much irritating, annoying disturbances or events happen to you, right? Or happens that affects you or your loved ones. So there's those sort of things. So really, yeah, you feel it emotionally, and sometimes it's not until it's hard to realize sometimes when your peace is getting affected or when you start getting annoyed, until you get annoyed and you start snapping at people, at the wrong people.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be careful with that. So that's kind of like why we want to know as well, here. Actually, we have a couple of answers there. Carolyn Shank says, my peace gets disrupted uh, when I sleep and they are they are snoring. um, and Jonah says here, uh, same person loud on eating too. And Rod also shared, I work in a clean room. Oh, I do know that, right? I think we've had Rod on the show, like he connected a few times, and he was sort of at work, and we saw he works in a clean room, so it's very clean. And usually by myself. And while I work, I watch and listen to Faith and Melody. That's my peace and purpose every day. So I love that. So he's got like, is that's kind of like his sanctuary almost, right? From
Oh,
all the other people, other coworkers, and all the chatters and everything else. He's got this little clean room. He's by himself and he's tuned in and listening to Faith and Melody. So we love that. Thank you so much to our Kuya Rod for always tuning in while he's working, while at work, and that
yes,
faith
that's
and
nice.
melody brings him peace, right, as well, through all the challenges that comes up during work.
Yeah,
But
and
go
oh,
ahead, Belle.
yeah. And since we have shared the various signs on which we can tell if we're being disrupted in our peace or not, um, would you like to share a time where you had to take action to protect your peace? Like,
Yes,
even if sometimes it does feel uncomfortable to set that boundary, like, uh, do you have an experience that you'd like to share, maybe?
I've had one, and I have two. One's lighter and one's a little bit more heavier. I do the light one really quickly, which is basically taking a. It's not really a digital detox, but really getting off the social medias, right? I've mentioned before that I'm not. So for anyone that's listening and you're following somebody named Jay on social media, like I'm not on social media. I'm only here on INCRadio, only here on YouTube. So I don't have any other social media platform because I used to. I don't know. It was really affecting my peace when all these different platforms. Yes, you follow friends and family, but then other people also pop up, right? And then you get to see like other things that people have liked, and then all once you start viewing them, then their content starts showing up on your social media feed. No matter what you're using, there's all these different algorithms at work trying to show you more and more stuff, and it was affecting me to the point that I wasn't getting any work done. I was always distracted, and many times, uh, especially because I was younger, a lot of the content is very influencing. That's kind of like why they're called social media influencers, right? They do a really good job influencing you, and many times a lot of those influences aren't aligned with what we believe in as Christians, but also not in a way that actually is helpful to our livelihood, right? So you have to be careful on what you're listening to, who you're listening to, and all of those little things. So I got rid of that. I just made it simple, and it was just main. It's like sometimes you get people coming up to you. It's like, oh, what happened to you, right? Kind of like, well, right, when if your phone is off and it's died, and people are trying to get in contact with you, it's like, are you okay? It's like, did something happen? But it was just, it started off like that, and when you explain that, oh yeah, I'm not on that anymore, then they get the idea why. So that's one, because I had to protect my peace, and also kind of like what I was consuming, because it affects you. It really does. You take something away from every little thing that you watch. So you have to be careful of who you're listening to, because whatever you're watching or listening, it becomes a part of you, like a little bit. The other one is actually establishing boundaries with certain people, and declining, or politely declining, or saying no. There's a polite way to do it, right? Like if you're not able to take on extra work, like you can politely say, I'd love to help you, but if I do that, I won't be able, if you're speaking to, like, say, your boss, right? Like, I'd love to be able to do this, but then this project will be delayed. Is that what you want me to do? Kind of thing. Or like if somebody else is trying to ask for help and you're not really able to, it's like politely saying no because you need time. And don't forget that time for yourself, and this is something that we've talked about, which I totally like to advocate, is that giving time, giving an hour, giving 2 hours for yourself so that you can rest, so that you can do some self care, so that you can, meditate, so that you can look after you, is just as important as you looking after other people. So you being able to politely decline and say, I'd love to help you, but can we do it? Say, I'm free on Friday. I'm not free tomorrow or something like that. Right? It's There's a polite way to say no, to decline, and kind of like give an alternative when you would be able to, right? Because you're establishing a boundary, especially for us, right? I think we learned this from a young age as members of the Church of Christ. Like, we have a boundary when it comes to our worship services, right? To the performance of our duties. We never let anything overlap or impact that. Work, school, friends, hanging out, or anything else. It's like this is about, there's a boundary there. We get, you know, taught that, we get reminded that. It's something that we work on to realize the importance of being able to say that I can't do this because I have my duties at church. I have to attend this. I have to whatever it is. So that's kind of like, sometimes at the beginning, it's a very uncomfortable phrase to say to a friend or to say to a coworker, I can't because of so and so, because I have to look after myself, because I need time for my family, because they're inviting you, right? It's an invitation. But you need to learn how to say no politely if it affects something that is important to you or affects your values, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to know what your values are. So those are my two. How about you, Belle? I'll give it over to you, and then maybe we can read some of our live chat there as well.
For me is when that they're projecting onto you their anger or frustration, so they just start like getting mad at you for some reason. For me, a way to keep my peace is just by not reacting to their anger in a way where you answer back, or like you get angry as well, because that is just counterproductive, because then you're both angry and no one is trying to find a resolution. So sometimes not reacting to what they're saying, or just like saying yes, I'll just do it, or saying, oh no, no, that's not right, in a polite way, then that's already dissolving somehow the anger or the tension that you're feeling. Or even sometimes staying quiet to what they're saying and just like take it all. Sometimes that's the best way to just counter their projection onto you. But you know um here also we have Jonah, uh Grace, saying that she brought up the issue, the issue about people being on the call and all that stuff in their office. She brought it up to the managers so that the issue can be addressed generally for the office etiquette. And that's good. That's a really good way to, you know, resolve something at work. And I'm glad that you were able to um, find a solution to that, Jonah. And yeah, Jay, I feel like when it comes to trying to protect your peace at the end of the day, um, it's not something bad because not only affects you, but it also affects uh I'm so sorry. It also affects that's hay fever, by the way. It's really it's spring slash summer here in the UK. So yeah, it's just there's a lot of pollen around. But yes, with what I mentioned is at the end of the day, trying to protect your peace is something that not only affects you because you want to feel at peace, but also uh the rest of the things that you need to take care of, like your responsibilities or the people that you're around with. So yeah, that really plays a great role when it comes to that. And you know, I also wanted to greet a few people who are joining us today here in Team Live Chats. Moria Tamila saying, "Good morning, greetings from Medford, GWS District of Oregon." Here we have um, Lani saying, "Hello po, Faith and Melody Ohana." And we also have Leandro Del Mundo saying, "Happy watching po." We also have Rowena Hulog Banal saying, "Good morning, happy listening po." And thank you so much for your support. And before we continue on with our topic today, um, Jay, would you like to introduce the next few songs?
Yeah, sure. And also, I just want to quickly read Melvi's comment here, where she says, "I've learned to vocalize instead of internalize what's affecting my peace by acknowledging it, doing something about it, and do my best to make others understand with kindness and sincerity." And then she adds, "Communication with care is important, and giving time for ourselves is indeed very important. That way we can also continue to have good relationships with others, right? So we have more to talk about, especially when it comes to protecting our peace and choosing peace on purpose and doing things so that we can um, live a life that is peaceful, that it's calm, that's happy, that's content. So we're going to talk more about relationships and kind of like the dynamic there so that we can work with peace, right, with each other. So before we get into that, the next two songs that we'll be listening to is titled Still Blessed by God. And here with me, the lyric video cover. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
There are moments in your life when you stumble in the dark, when you're struggling to make it through the night. So you close your eyes and pray, and to God you humbly say, I am here, please draw near, show me the way. And you look up to a glimmering night sky, and you smile at the light of the stars. What you feel in the air, what's been there all around you, God's love. You're still blessed by God. And so forth you walk with a spring in your step as you wait for the dawning of day. You fear no shadows that lurk in the dusk, for God's love will light the way. And you look up to a glimmering night sky, and you smile at the light of the stars. What you feel in the air, what's been there all around you, God's love. You're still blessed by God. King God's words ever close to your heart. Don't let go. Hold on, fight the good fight. No matter the darkness that covers the night, we have God's light. You look up to a glimmering night sky, you will smile at the light of the stars. You will be life was complete as can be. Nothing else seemed to matter. That my searching was over. My universe was in harmony. And the words that you said pierced right through my heart, and they broke all my theories apart. Didn't know I was straying from the truth, just evading the fact that I was in the dark. Just when I thought I'd figured out all I had to believe, you showed the truth and gave me hope, eternal life I can achieve. Your love has made me feel complete. You was love to my feet. You held my hand, help me understand when life just seems too much to take and everything starts to break. I'll pray to you and you'll help me through. The world may bring me to my knees, but I can carry on as long as you're here with me. These times that I live in, I see today, many people have led astray. Give me strength to fight harder and to hold on much longer, to keep the faith so I can stay. The wind's strong, it blows so cold, and everything's dark as night. But the day will come when you take me there to my true home, and all will be right. Your love has made me feel complete. You was
is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
What makes a family strong? It's trust. Trusting that the family members will listen.
Hey, how's your day?
Ay, pretty exhausting.
Come, let's eat. You can tell me all about it.
Honesty opens the door to understanding and closeness.
Is everything okay?
No, we're supposed to do a group presentation, but the other won't even help me.
Sometimes you need a lot of courage to say what you think or feel, but it's worth it. Try it.
When your children are honest about something sensitive, tell them how much you appreciate their honesty. Why do we keep reminding our children? Because we love them and we want them to grow up trusting our Almighty God.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, Mom.
Homework?
Kind of. It's a school project, and you have to present someone from LA we admire.
Celebrity time. Who's it gonna be? Actor, athlete?
You.
Cool.
Yeah. You work hard. You help out with everything around the house. You never complain. You just do what's right, even when no one's watching.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to. Just don't make me redo my project.
The world may celebrate stars, but the ones who shine brightest are not on screen. They're family. A message from INC Radio Los Angeles.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jay and Bell on INC Radio's Faith and Melody. And we're talking about peace on purpose. And we've had a nice discussion already of kind of the things that impact our peace and what happens and all of that. But we know that life itself can be loud, it can be busy, and it can be full of things that weigh heavily on our minds and our hearts. Peace isn't all about the environment, it's also about how we navigate relationships, conflict, and expectations. So it is all about the people that's in our lives, our friends, our loved ones, our colleagues, our co-workers. How do your relationships, let us know in the live chat if you're joining us, how do relationships, even with your family or your loved ones, sometimes impact your sense of peace? And I love how we've just come from those videos that was played earlier, right, Belle? Because there's a nice one there about trust, right? But Belle, why don't you go ahead and start and share one of your ones in terms of how do your relationships impact your peace?
Relationships and, you know, friendships, they really affect my peace in a way where I feel empathy towards them. So, if we do have a misunderstanding, or if they are going through something, then I'm gonna feel it as well, and to a certain degree. And you know, um, when you feel empathy towards someone, it feels like you are going through that thing as well somehow, because you feel or you share the same emotions, and that tends to disrupt my peace or impact my peace in a way where it feels like I'm carrying more than I should, or I'm sharing that set of emotions with them. And sometimes it's hard to go on with your day when you think about them. So, in a way, it does affect my peace. uh but it really depends on the situation, of course. But yeah, because for me, when I do care for someone, whether it's my family or my friends, you know, um, I try to understand them as much as possible, because most of the time, um, certain things are left unsaid, or certain things are just you don't need words to describe certain matters. So when it comes to when it comes to a moment where they do open up, or they do show you that they're concerned about something, or they're going through something, you feel for, at least I feel for them, because that's my way to show up for them. And so that's how usually my relationships in life um, impact my sense of peace, because I do care for them. So when you care for someone, then um, whatever happens to them, or their certain behaviors impact you in one way or another. So yeah, that's how I see it, at least, Jay.
It's like when they're sad, you're sad, right? When they're happy, you're happy, right? When they're going through something challenging, it's like, well, one of my friends, she's a psychologist, and she knows, like, in terms of how other people's emotions impact others, especially those who are around them. And it's like, what she says is like, emotions is energy in motion. That's what it is, right? So whatever that energy is that the person is feeling or exerting from them, happiness, sadness, anxiety, right? That energy is in motion, so that can travel to the people that's in their vicinity. So that's why you can walk into a room, and you can cut the tension with the knife, because you can feel when two people are arguing, right? And they're having the silent treatment or something like that, because you can feel it, right? That's why they also say that you got to be careful on what you feel, because it comes across in everything, your body language, your things, especially around children. They are so attuned to picking up the emotions from their parents, even though they're not showing that they're fighting. But the body language changes, the way that they look at each other changes, the way that they speak and everything else changes. And kids can pick that up, right? They're more attuned to that. So that's basically it. When it comes to our relationships, many times what they share, what they're celebrating, the hardships that they're going through, especially if we care about them deeply, and we care about, they're our loved ones, right? Or there's somebody that's important in our lives. Like, it also impacts us, like, not completely, but it impacts us enough. Like, it's another chip of your block of peace, right? I guess if you were to visualize that the piece that you start off with is like this block that you have, and every little distraction and disturbances and annoyance chips at it bit by bit, right? I think the one that would take the biggest chip out of the calmness and the peace that you have would be the people that you care about. Because if they're going through something difficult, it's like you're going through something difficult, right? Enough. So yeah, it's that empathy that we end up feeling for others. Um, which
And
then also, I just wanted to mention, like, with that video message that was played just earlier, just before we came back from break, where trust is important. All right. The importance of trust allows you for open communication and honesty. And it's very important, especially when it comes to your family members and to your loved ones. You need to have that trust to be able to express honestly what you're going through, right? And not just have to have the other person guess that you had a hard time at work, or you had a difficult situation that you are going through, right? Trust is all about honest communication, open communication to your loved ones. And then the other person is the trust that they're giving you. You give back by showing that you are listening, that you care, and giving them the support that they need. So that's very important as well when it comes with the relationships that we have with one another. Like, it could be people that we work with, could be people that are schoolmates, it could be our friends, could be our loved ones, even our ohana that's there in our live chat, right? Everything that if they go through something and things that they share as well, like we can, it's something that we can, that resonates with us sometimes, and it's other times it's like we resonate with like what they're going through and the challenges that they're feeling as well. And it's like you're not alone, right? That whole feeling of like we're kind of united in going through life, right? Going through life and all the challenges that we face there. So the next thing that we're asking is, how do you balance maintaining peace without completely avoiding people or shutting down people, right? You can't just be by yourself, and you can't just ignore people. So that's so you can protect your peace, right? Like completely avoid them, not have any friends, completely shut down, and all of that. Like, how you have to find balance. There's a balance there. It's a balancing act, right? So let us know. And I'll give you some moments to write down how you balance maintaining peace with the people in your life. But before that, Belle, why don't you go ahead? There's a couple of comments there. Actually, I just want to quickly read earlier. Rod shared an acronym. Did we read this acronym where he actually put an acronym for the title "Peace on Purpose"? Right? And he wrote down here. Did you see that? Did you see that one? I'll see if I can find it really quickly. It was a great act. It's a long one, right? But he put it there. Okay, here. So it says peace on purpose. Positive energy activates constant elevation. Our needed peace undergo rigorous pressures, but outcomes still elated. So I mean, like that's a pretty cool acronym that Rod put up there. But yes, like Belle, why don't you read some of the insights from our Ohana, what they've written there in our live chat in this part?
Here, Caroline Chang said, yes, when your relationships or friends are going through something or their situation is disrupted, their close connection or energy is also felt by me. If they are sad, I feel that. And she also said, here, we're so blessed to be stressed. So when it comes to moments like that, it's really nice to remember that we really are blessed with what we have. And Rod here said, smile more, live more. And he said, my positive take and spin on stress is this. Stress, he wrote an acronym. Smiling tremendously regardless experiencing some stress. And that is such a good one. That's such a cute and good one. Thank you, Rod. And Melvi Tamayo said here, emotions play a huge role in relationships. So it's important to be self-aware of what kind of attitude we exude, as well as how we say things. And that's true because there are ways to communicate it to someone. You can be brutally honest without being brutal. So but as long as you're being genuine and you communicate whatever you want to communicate, like that the matter that you want to communicate in a genuine and respectful manner, then that message will be able to, be read properly by the other person. But here, Jonna Grace Lopez also said here, deeper understanding and patience. It could be multiple other ways why. Just need to be kinder. And Melvi also added another thing saying having connection and communication, listening attentively and learning to pause, take deep breaths before responding when I'm having conversations with others, especially when my peace is being disrupted or disturbed. But yes, um, I really I really like those comments that we just read out, and with what Jonah said here, that just need to be kinder. That's really a good reminder because sometimes we tend to forget to to say please and thank you, especially during tense situations, or you're just so stressed you forgot to say it. So there is always a way to communicate your feelings or a matter to someone. So always choose to be kinder. But yes,
Always choose to be kinder. That's a very good reminder, and I like as well one of the things that I took away from what was written earlier from our live chat. I can't remember which one it was exactly, but we should also be grateful that we have those people in our lives, right? Since we're talking in this part, we're talking about the people that surrounds us, the people that we work with, the people, our loved ones as well, especially, right? No matter what challenges and anything else like that, they're a blessing, right? To have them. Like, we should be grateful that we have these people there in our life that's giving us some sort of, perspective on certain things and situations, and being able to share and have that trust with each other, especially with your family members, right? All of those things are blessings, and they are something that we should be grateful for. So, Belle, why don't you start us off with, in this one, is in terms of balancing. What's your balancing act like? Like, how do you balance maintaining peace without completely avoiding people?
So for me is trying to, know my own limits when it comes to my um emotional energy, my physical energy, and my mental energy as well. And um, sometimes, at least for me, when I go through something, I really feel more isolated because people might not understand what I'm going through. Or if they do, then they don't really connect with what I say or share with them. Or some other people just don't know what I'm going through. So, um, you know, um, for me, I tend to close myself off a bit more when I am going through something. But uh, I've been trying to learn to be more present, to be more out there in a way where I don't have to disappear like for so long and then come back. But for me, one way to, you know, um, to do that is by deactivating my social medias. That's where I can actually like disappear. But when it comes to people, I try to invest my time with the people who actually matter to me, and I matter to them. Sometimes when you don't have any social energy, you tend to just stay home and do your own thing and relax, or just get some rest. But when you're with the right people, you don't feel drained. You feel even more energized. You feel more relieved, even
Yes, yes,
by
I
the stress
agree.
that you're feeling. You just need to have the right people. And like 1 minute with them is already better than the whole day that you had to get through without them. Or, you know, you just had a stressful day and you just want to go home. But even if you spend like 10 minutes with them and you're tired, you already feel better. So when it comes to the right people that really really make you happy, or just uh just make you feel um comfortable to be with them, or just to be yourself, uh that's when you feel more at ease with the situation or with the stress that you have to deal with. So, yes, knowing my own limits and investing my time with people that matter to me and I matter to them.
I'm hearing, like, I'm also, that's what came to me is like a quality over quantity, right? In
Yeah.
terms of like the time that you spend with the right people, with the right people. One of the things, and like something that I've done, like that I do, especially for Gem, is that like completely for 5 minutes, or roughly, I don't time it or anything like that, but basically I give her my complete undivided attention, to let her know how I feel, to compliment her, to compliment something that's changed, her hair, her earrings, her, like how she's looking today. I have to compliment something that she's done, to compliment, like, to give someone compliments and all of that. It kind of like, it gives them that extra spark and that extra energy. So if you imagine you had someone that gave you undivided, not distracted by their phones or other things, and they're kind of just, complimenting you and saying all these nice things of things that you've done and why you're so important to them. It gives them that, that boost of energy, and it's a really nice feeling when you do that. But the other thing that I also realized, and what I'm reading here as well, um, here Melvi shares here, actually, this one. I'm also still learning to know my emotional triggers, controlling and containing them. So each individual, each person has uh, a different level of triggers, right? They have different, what's the right word? Can't think of the right word at this time of the hour. But basically, they have a different capacity on how much things that they can take before it triggers them to be angry. It triggers them to be frustrated, to be anxious, to be worried, all of those things, right? And if you're able to know what your triggers are and control them, that's nice. That's great. That's something that's a great skill to have. But other times, for us, we just have to accept, right? I think acceptance is another way for us to maintain our peace. Is just accepting people for who they are, right? Because it's not our job and it's not really for us to change others, right? And I think acceptance is the simplest way for us to accept how people are. And then being polite to communicate and setting healthy boundaries to if you need time away from them. I think Belle, you mentioned about like, disappearing in a way. It's important for us to step away from a stressful situation if we can, right? If you're able to, you need to step away from the environment, go to somewhere quieter, go to, and give yourself time to recompose yourself, gather your thoughts and take deep breaths and just be calm. So it's important that you have those boundaries. Like you don't just stay there. You need to set those boundaries. Maybe it's time away from, that environment or that person, but you need those boundaries because you also need to accept that that's just how they are. The best that we can do is let them know how we feel about it, and hopefully they make the change. But it's not something that happens overnight, right? The other thing as well is that when it comes to acceptance, one of the things is that many things are outside our control. And once we are able to accept it, depending on the situation, then it just makes things easier and lighter, not just in your mind, but in your heart, right? When you're worried about other people. So learn to accept, learn to accept people's mistakes, your own mistakes, learn to accept the shortcomings, learn to accept the things that are outside your control. One of the things that really damaged, or not damaged, but really affected, let's just say affected, that's probably the better word. One of the things that really affected my peace so much, and I've shared this before, was when you receive the news that a loved one, somebody that you care about, um, has some, is sick, right? There's something not good with their health or anything like that. And for me, one of the toughest times that my peace was really shaken was when my 2-year-old daughter was diagnosed with autism. And really, my peace was like at its worst at that time. And I think the thing that got me out of it, apart from prayer, right? Prayer was definitely the most important thing. But through prayer and through leaning more on my faith and what God has set in store for us is the acceptance part, right? Accepting it and accepting the situation. That's what really helped me overcome that and regain my stability with my peace, right? It's like acceptance and being grateful that we're going to be experiencing something different, right? Um it's a total change in your perspective and in your mindset, in your paradigm. But acceptance is a powerful thing when you apply it correctly. When you accept something that there's a big change, but you know that God is still going to be there to help you get through it, that can bring you back down to your peace, right? There's so much things that you can't control, but when you accept that those things will happen, you find peace that God's going to give you what you need, the tools that you need to get through that situation in your life. You might be experiencing, something in your job, in your career, in your future. You don't know where it's going, right? That's something that can shake your peace. But when you accept that, God has plans for you, He'll take care of you if you lean more on Him, right? That will give you that sense of peace and help you to see clearly, right? Help you to have better understanding. And that's really where acceptance really comes in. It's very, very important. that we learn how to accept the things, especially things that are happening to us and the things that are outside our control. I'll leave it at that with that one, and hopefully that's given some sense of inspiration to those who are listening to us. But with that, let's read a few more of if there's any other from our chat, any other comments from our chat before we listen to their next musical break. Belle?
Wow, I just wanted to say that what you um, mentioned, like, and about acceptance as well, that really is something that, it just hit me because, uh, especially when something isn't in your control, all you have to do is accept it. And sometimes it's just harder depending on the situation. And with your experience that you just shared, I'm just I just want to say thank you for sharing that because it takes courage to share something that is very personal, and you know it does bring inspiration what you just mentioned, and it enriched me at least. But yes, with that said, yeah, here Melvi Tamayo said, I'm also still learning to know my emotional triggers, controlling and containing them. And here Rod Kahayag also said, they help us keep our sanity. And that's true. You have to know you have to know your own self and your own boundaries as well. And here he also wrote down another acronym from Right People. So, right people, righteous in God's help through positive, energetic, outstanding people, loving effortlessly. And that's a really nice one. And Melvi also added here, I started omitting people or things that zap my energy and keep the ones that give me peace. When we care for ourselves, we're also able to care for others and entrust everything else to God. And that's true. And that's why it's important to know your people or try to find your people. And the right ones will always give you that sense of peace and calm calmness during those times. They won't add to your anxiety. They won't add to your stress. Just one conversation with them, just one minute with them, you already feel better, and that's how you know that they're your people. You kind of feel at home with them, even though you could be outside. But yes, Rod also added here, when you start to accept things that are usually unwanted, it shows that you are a mature person spiritually and emotionally. And that's true. And with that said, we'll continue on with our topic discussion for today. But we'll play for you um, another song, which is Reaching the Finish Line. We'll be right back.
All throughout my life, I strive to do God's will, so that everything that I do will be pleasing to our Lord God. So I can't stop, gotta keep going, I can't lose, gotta keep pushing. Oh, now is not the time to give up. I'm not backing down, not gonna let up. All throughout my life, I work for the prize. For I know in the end the crown of life awaits me. So I can't stop, gotta keep going, I can't lose, gotta keep pushing. Oh, now is not the time to give up. I'm not backing down, not gonna let up. Victory is within my reach. I'm gonna run the race of my life, I wanna ultimately say I have fought the good fight, I have kept the faith, so I can reach the finish line indeed. Oh, from this moment on, no matter what comes my way, I won't betray the Lord my God. I'll hold on to my faith. So I'll remain inside the church of Christ. I'll stand my ground in serving God. Oh, now is not the time to give up. I'm not backing down, not gonna let up. Victory is within my reach. I'm gonna run the race of my life. I wanna ultimately say I have fought the good fight, I have kept the faith, so I can reach the finish line indeed. Victory is within my reach. I'm gonna run the race of my life. I wanna ultimately say I have fought the good fight, I have kept the faith, so I can reach the finish line indeed. Oh, so I can reach the finish line indeed.
As we are now in the last part of our topic for today, you know, we tackled the various things that could disrupt our peace. We also tackled and shared some experiences with our relationships in life and our friends and loved ones. And, you know, um, it's something that it's something that you know, uh, we realize that peace is not something that we can just hope for. We can also create that peace ourselves and pursue it. And also protect it, as we mentioned earlier, with the various boundaries that we could set, especially when feeling uncomfortable. But, in this closing part of the discussion, um, we can choose peace on purpose through our small habits, our everyday habits, and especially with our faith and mindset. So, with that said, what are habits that help you create more peace in life, Jay?
One of the ones for me is definitely got to do with prayer and meditating, right? Uh, our house is usually quite loud. Always someone singing. Usually Lena, and usually things like that is going on. But when there's like nice time when it's when everything's quieting down, having the moment to be able to just meditate and just count your blessings, right? Really count the blessings and the things that you're grateful for, the things that you have in your life, the people that you have in your life, the things that are important, the things that really matter, right? All the things that you're working towards, they might, be something that's important to you as well. But there's also the people that really matter and the people that you're doing it for, right? We've asked that question, like, know your why. Like, why is it that you do what you do? Like, who is it for? Who is the one that you want to take care of? Who is the one that's giving you that love? And who are the people that God has put in your life? So prayer and meditating on those things that you should be grateful for, count your blessings, and it really does help to create more peace in everything else, because it just makes things feel like all those other problems and challenges and all those little things that irritates you throughout the day, and drivers not driving properly, and people always chatting to you when you're trying to get the work done, and all of those little things that chips away at the peace that you're trying to protect. When you realize that they don't matter, right? And the stresses and the energy that you're putting into that negative situation doesn't matter. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't mean anything. Like the anxiety that you're feeling on how the other person might perceive you, or like how you look and things like that. Just the amount of things that doesn't matter, right? It kind of like makes it easier to ignore them, and for it to not affect your peace, and to remain more calm and more at peace, right? More at peace with yourself. So knowing that you've got so much blessings and so much things that you have in your life because of what God has blessed you with. So that's why prayer and meditating on the things that you should be grateful for, that helps create more peace for me. That's one. That's one of them. The other thing really is just to keep everything simple. Right? Keep everything. Get rid of all the complexity of relationships and communication and all that. Just keep things simple. Say what you mean and mean what you say, right? Like, and just keep everything simple so people don't have to guess. There's a couple more, but Belle, I'll give you a chance to say some of your habits that you do, right? What's some of the things that Belle does to create more peace in your life?
I mean, you already mentioned it, prayer and, you know, um, doing things that make me happy in a way where, how we always say, oh, I'm too busy for this, I'm too busy for that. But if you do make the time, it's gonna make you happy, because sometimes you look at your stuff, or you look back with pictures, and you're like, oh, I used to do this, or I used to do that. For example, I don't know, I used to paint, or I used to ride a bike. I still need to buy a bike, by the way, if for the people who know. But yes, or as simple as, oh, I used to play the guitar, or I used to watch TV shows every Friday evening. I don't know, something like that. Something so simple yet so comforting. Uh, that really can bring you much more peace than you expect. Because once you're so busy and you're so tired as well, um you just want to sleep or eat, and then that's it. But if you do make time for it in your busy schedule, you slot like an hour to make something that to do something that makes you happy, or invest that time that makes to make something that, you know to do something that makes you really happy, whether it's like a hobby, or I don't know, going out with like your loved ones, um that really will make the difference. So, yeah, try to be more intentional with your time in a way where there's always time for everything. It's just a matter of prioritization. So, yeah,
Mm.
that's something that I really am still working on, of course, but I really am looking forward to, maintain um, in my life in a way where maybe to some other people it's something that, it's not such a big deal like going for a walk in the park, a stroll in the park. Like, for some other people it's something boring, or something just like it's just so casual. But maybe for you it just really brings you much more peace. You feel like you can collect all your thoughts, and your emotions during that time, and you just feel relieved because it's nice to walk amidst nature, and especially when the weather is nice. But yeah,
And I'm
that
going to add to that. It's like that could be part of your self care. I think that's one of the things that also helps create more peace, right, Belle? Is you setting time, like you scheduling time, giving time for you, right? Whatever that entails, like going for a walk by yourself, getting lost in your own thought, um, taking care, all those self care routines, whether it's exercise. But it's also nice to do things with other people. One thing that I don't know. It kind of like helps put things into perspective. Create something, and that includes baking because we've been baking brownies and things like that. That's creating, right? Create something, buy a piece of furniture and put it together yourself. Like when you accomplish something, there's a certain amount of peace that comes from that, right? It's like a certain kind of accomplishment and everything else that makes things feel more peaceful when you are able to accomplish something. So I think creating something or learning something new is one of those things that can bring peace because accomplishments, right? Accomplishments kind of like gives us a sense of happiness and peace as well. Like we're moving, things are happening. We're not stuck in a rut. We're not just like not nothing's happening in our life. Like when things are happening and things are going towards and things are working out, it's a nice feeling, and that I think for me that creates peace in my life. When you do that with other people, spend more time with people, create those things, bake a cake with your loved ones, go have brunch, right? If for those married members, go have brunch with your spouse, or for those who aren't yet, go have brunch with your parents, right? Or with your loved ones. Go with your bestie, right? Go have brunch with your bestie. When was the last time that you actually did that? Because those moments are what really matter, right? The experience, the connection, the bond that you create. There's something peaceful about that. Oh, and one last one that I'm sharing. But I don't know if you have any others, but I'll pass it to you because I don't know. I just saw a flood of comments come up on live chat. So I'll pass this over to you. One last thing is look back on your memories, right? We're all on our devices. We're all taking videos on our phones. We're all taking photos on our phones. And then what? They just sort of disappear into oblivion, right? Maybe sometimes you might post it on social media, but apart from that, like you don't. When was the last time that you look back on your most recent getaway, vacation, trip, experiences, things like that? Look back on your experiences. Jem and I do that, and there's something that just creates peace and just like those are the moments, right? Those are the moments that just, oh, I remember that. And you shared those experiences. Like relive your shared experiences with the people that you shared them with. It's always nice to look back on that. So, Belle, I'll pass it over to you. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add, but if you want to go ahead also and read those final comments before we go ahead and wrap up this beautiful discussion of peace and being purposeful about it.
um Here, Rod Kahayag said, watching Faith and Melody every day helps me create more peace in my life. And I feel like that's a really nice comment to share there. And um, he also shared here, seeing Journey and Crizel gives me peace in my life. That's why I try to make them smile every day. And that's really sweet, Rod. Thank you so much for sharing that. Melody Tamayo said here, what gives me peace is knowing that I'm never alone. QJ mentioned a lot of what I do also, and will also include exercising and eating. My favorite dessert always gives me peace, and that's really true. As a foodie person, I can attest to that. Especially if you are feeling frustrated, food can make things better sometimes. And she also said here, and just like Clear Rod mentioned, listening to Faith and Melody at work brings me at peace. Jonah Grace Lopez here said, accept that many things are out of our control. Let God handle the wheel and trust His process. And that's true. And one of my favorite sayings is, let go, let God. And it might sound cheesy or, like, oh, it's just like a play of words, but it's true though. When you entrust everything unto Him, you feel at peace because you're reassured that he will be able to help you. And Rod here also shared, you've got to pray just to make it today. And he said, praying religiously always yields, exudes relief. And that's another acronym from Rod. So thank you. And Jonah here said for bestie, and that's our Ate Care. It's shopping therapy, right? And Melvi here said, I need to go shopping at the Jonah. And yes, um, Rod here said, so I suppose accomplishing an acronym also brings me peace. And I think we can all agree with that. But yes, Care here also shared, Bestie's company is all I need. God's true blessing to me. And that's really sweet. She also shared here that Tuesday's topic or tomorrow's topic is moments to experiences. So yes, here also there's a lot of comments. So yeah, Melvi said here, yes, daily movements and reminiscing are what also give me joy and peace. And Rod here shared another acronym saying peace is like ube, ultimate best experience. And yes, that's a really nice one as well. And thank you so much to everyone who was able to share with us their experiences, their insights, and their advice there in Team Live Chat, our Ohana. And Jay, also, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I like how you mentioned about reminiscing about your past experiences and going through your pictures because you will realize how long and how far you've gone from where you were at some point in life. And if that's not reassuring that you are able to go through something, I don't know what is, because that's really a testament that wow, that was like last year, and like it's been a whole year, and look at me now. Like it makes you realize not only how happy you are, but how far you've gone. So that's a really good advice, Jay. So thank you, and I also love doing that, especially with physical photo albums. That's I feel like that's the best.
Yes.
But yes, with that said, um, you know, we hope that this topic has really brought you much more peace and also inspiration um, to your week ahead. But, I want to share here, read it out, our Christian value for today. And it's peace is in the absence of problems, but the presence of God in the midst of them. As followers of Christ, let's be vigilant to guard our hearts and minds by leaning on Him, trusting that His peace will sustain us even when life feels uncertain. And, you know, with that said, we really do hope that this topic has brought you much more uh,
Peace.
peace and calmness in your lives. But yes, Jay, would you
It's
like
been
to?
it's been a very nice discussion, a very nice chat that we've had here, especially with our Ohana there in live chat. But of course, we just play our last segment for today, which is our verse of the week. This is verse of the week, which is titled "Don't Lose Your Temper." So let's all listen to this.
Anger is one of the most common and frequent emotions that all of us experience. Now, people may express anger in different ways, some with catastrophic results. But what is the Christian way to handle such a powerful emotion? Hi, I'm Brother Angel Casanova III, and this is what we'll answer in today's verse of the week here in Proverbs 29:11. A short sighted fool always loses his temper and displays his anger, but a wise man uses self control and holds it back. You see, we should not be short sighted or someone who doesn't consider the consequences of our actions. According to the Bible, a person who always loses their temper and allows anger to take over what they say and do is a short-sighted fool. Instead, as true Christians, we should be wise, because a wise man uses self-control and holds back his anger. You know, sometimes all it takes to manage our emotions is just a few seconds. When things get heated, pause. Take a few seconds to calm down, assess the situation, and think clearly so that we don't do anything we regret or fall into sin. That's our verse of the week. If you know someone who could benefit from this advice from the Bible, please share this short video with them. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay faithful. God bless.
Thank you to Brother Angel for that timely reminder and message to take with us for the week ahead. With that, again, appreciate everyone who's been sharing with our topic today. Belle, over to you for any final shout outs and promotions and greetings.
I would like to greet everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I would also like to greet my family, my mom, Ate Erica, Arian, Samsam, and Dandan. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And also to you, Jay.
Thank you, Belle, and also to you as well. Thank you so much for joining and being here with me and helping me out on today's show. But of course, shout out to my wife Jem and to our daughter Lena and to everyone that's always supporting Faith and Melody. And a special acknowledgments and greetings to our tech teams, our brothers there in the main studio, our Kuya Nico and Irene that's always helping us out with our broadcast. Sister Desta Senas as well, and to Brother Edwin Asabuke, and to our INC radio station manager, Brother Wally Taray. And special greetings to our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and our deputy executive minister, Brother Angelo Iranio Manalo. Once again, thank you for joining us on today's show. I am Jay from Australia.
And I'm Belle from the United Kingdom, and we have been your host for today's broadcast. We hope that today's episode has given you a positive start to your week ahead. And to close off our episode for today, we'll be listening to Don't Give Up. Join us again tomorrow on the next episode of Faith and Melody. Goodbye, everyone, and take care.
Thank you, everyone. Stay peaceful.
As we are preparing for the coming of the great day, there are hindrances that can make us lose our faith and hope. But we can make it through with the help of our Lord God. He's always on our side, no matter what will come. Our journey in this world will come to its end. Just hold on. So we will be saved. Don't give up, oh don't give up. Don't give up your faith. Everything will be fine. Put your trust in God and pray with hope. And don't give up, oh don't give up. Don't give up your faith. Everything will be fine. Put your trust in God and pray with hope and faith. There are times when lives are going well, sometimes they aren't alright. But in Him we can still get through, proving His great love for us. And we have confident trust in our Lord God. There's no reason for us to turn away. Our journey in this world